Mm. Trump's tweet about Rob Reiner.
Natural phenomena. Yes, you will. Daniel.
Hmm. Good morning, everybody. Hello. I'm just clearing the field and getting a couple more clues that Spirit was giving me. Um, John Stewart's post about Rob Reiner. Hmm. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hello, Manuel. Thank you for being here. Hi. Ugh. Good morning, everybody. Oh my gosh. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I had a beautiful, beautiful holiday. I think about it and it makes me smile and it brings me joy to remember
I'm
the
so
good times. Oh, Spirit said I'm stuck here. Uh-oh. Alrighty. Well, hello. Thank you all for being here. Good morning. New day. My name is Patience. I'm your favorite spirit medium, host of Spirit News on all major platforms. Um, oh my gosh. It's like I forgot how to speak just now. If you'd like to follow any of our socials, we'd absolutely love to have you. You can find all of our links through the link tree in the bio. And if you have multiple podcast platforms you like to listen from, we're on every single one. So you can find every link: iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. Any platform you like to listen to podcasts, you can find Spirit News. If you like more metaphysical, structured, episode based podcast style information, you can go to Spirit News. To a Spirit Said Weekly. Yes, here on our YouTube and our TikTok, we do weekly every weekend. We do energy reads to learn how to read energy. We're a spirit medium that was a childhood psychic that forgot, well, I didn't forget, but I turned my
necropolis.
necropolis. I turned my gifts off because my family said I was demonic for having them. And then through traumatic events, it got activated again, and so I had to learn how to use it. And Spirit guided me to use this platform to help develop the skill of spirit language, to learn spirit's language so we could speak to them. So this is kind of what it grew into, and we have lots of fun coming on here every single weekend, every single Saturday and Sunday morning at 6 a.m. We're here for you, and we have spirit guide us to what souls need to be read or what information needs to be read, um, to get a higher perspective of linear view. Okay, so I will say that this energy is a bit choppy. It's a little bit choppy, and Spirit just said, I'm stuck here. I am new to learning the energy of crossed over loved ones who are earthbound, who may be stuck or not able to cross over because of regrets or whatever it may be. So that could be Rob Reiner, that could be Michelle Reiner. We'll see. I'm not sure until we kind of dive into it. I was getting some things that I'll go over to see how they play out in the energy reading. Make sure you're hitting that like button, that subscribe button. It truly helps the channel out. We are so grateful for all the love and support that gets shown to us every weekend and throughout the week. It's really remarkable how people can come together when they are on the same frequency. So it's really fun seeing who resonates with us and who we attract at this time. Good evening. Hello, everybody. Hello. Is it grippy? I don't know what that means. Hate group. Okay, so we're going to attempt to speak to Rob Reiner and his wife. Um, One of the cosmic laws of the universe is you can't break people's free will. So we don't read people who don't give us permission. We don't read energies that do not personally allow us to do so. That's against the law of free will. We don't suggest you use divination to do that. That's divination abuse. But what we can do, since the cabal wants to find loopholes, cosmic loopholes, well, the divine has cosmic loopholes as well that are loving, kind, and the opposite. So if you want to keep on crossing people over, then thinking that they won't have information, well, you're wrong about that, because the universe just made a play where the more people you cross over, the more able we're to talk to them. So funny how that works out. Okay, so we'll see what information comes forward. This is all alleged. I can't prove anything that comes out in a court of law. This is for entertainment purposes only. I have to say that for legal reasons. So last weekend we attempted to do something different than we normally do. Run DMC, it's tricky. Yeah, that's funny. That it is tricky. Um, Voice in a recording. So far, Spirit said voice in a recording, hate group, necropolis, weekly, I'm stuck here, natural phenomena. What's a necropolis? Let me just look that up real quick because I'm not really sure what that is. Necropolis? Oh, damn. A large, elaborate burial ground, literally meaning city of the dead. Necropolis is a large, designed cemetery with elaborate tomb monuments. The name stems from the ancient Greek necropolis. The term usually implies a separate burial site at a distance from a city, as opposed to tombs within cities, which were common in various places and periods of history. Interesting. What is the most famous necropolis? The Giza necropolis. Huh. Okay. So some of the things I was getting was the Shakespearean play King Lear. Last weekend we were attempting to tap into the energy of some of the sad events that happened in a quick period of time. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I do have a mentor. Their name is God. God is my mentor. God, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene. My guides, my grandmother. My grandmother. I love you, Grandma. So, last weekend we did a reading and we attempted to get a higher perspective of the linear events of our current events of some tragedies. Brown University, the MIT professor, Michelle and Rob Reiner. They all seem to represent energetically or symbolically different aspects of our culture. The schools, entertainment, our education, entertainment, and I forget what the other one was. I forget what the other one was. But what was interesting was that um, possibly Charlie Kirk started to come through, and then it made me kind of feel like somehow these things are connected, but I didn't know how, and I didn't want to get distracted or like go off on a different route of information. I was trying to do something different, so I was trying to like keep it streamlined because I never done it that way before, so I wasn't really sure how to go about it. But I thought it was interesting what was coming out, and but there was too many things. There's too many avenues to go down within a short period of time. So I was like, I think I need to like pick one and streamline it and then pick another one, figure it out, and then that like everything will start coming together, I think. Or I feel. Okay, so one of the things I was getting last weekend was the four tragedies of Shakespeare, and each tragedy seemed to go with what was happening in our current events for what I was reading. And what one of the tragedies that went with this, what we're reading today, was King Lear. Um, with King Lear, let me see, Shakespearean play King Lear. Yeah, a profound Shakespearean tragedy about an aging king who foolishly divides his kingdom based on his daughter's declarations of love, banishing the honest Cordelia while rewarding the flattering Goneril and Regan, leading to his descent into madness amidst a raging storm, betrayal, and the devastating loss of everyone he holds dear, exploring themes of family, power, justice, blindness, and madness. So it was interesting because I had a dream that kind of with different characters, but it was basically the same. And what I was getting was that, and I don't know yet. I'm gonna draw. I know I'll find out by drawing the cards, but and we do game cards here. We don't do tarot cards. But what I was getting was there may have been some discrepancies or favoritism um, amongst the children or in the family. There could have been something about, because I was getting the song Truth or Dare as well, but there may have been something about,
I don't know where to go.
like kissing up, like not, expectations not being met and getting, things thrown in your face like, well, you're not going to be part of the will if you don't, learn how to behave or if you don't act right or something like that. So flattery versus honesty. Flattery versus honesty. Something like that. Um, something about, because I also got the song Truth or Dare by Talia, I think her name is, or Tyla, something like that. Let me see. Are you scared? Truth or Dare? Let me see. Did you say you're on your way? Why now, when you just went MIA? Message received. Oh, now you want me back. I know the procedure trying to come to my place. Turn around, that's so far. Are we too far gone? Can't handle what I am now. You're a fan now, and I'm not what I was. So tell me, are you down now? 'Cause I'm up now. So let's play truth or dare. Dare you to forget that you used to treat me just like anyone. Truth or dare. Is it true you care now that you can see the love from everyone?
Conceivably.
And Spirit just said conceivably. So definitely something about Rob having some kind of feeling of how he should be, or his expectations for how he should be treated, something like that. And perhaps his son or one of the children, just like in King Lear, the other kids flattering and showing up the way that Rob wants them to show up, to be considered, one of the benefactors. And then a child that doesn't show up the same way because there's something that they know about Rob that prevents them from treating them that way, something like that. Okay? I dare you to care, truth or dare. I dare you to forget. I'm sorry, I dare you to remember. So there's definitely something about something the other kids may not know about the father, something that they may not, one of the kids may not have felt that the other children would believe it, but it affected them in a way that that made them more honest in the way they treated the father than the other kids. I hope I hope you're still on board. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hello. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for being here. Yes. Oh, thank you for my cute hair comment. Doc's safe tube. Doc safe tube. Doc safe tube. And then the other thing I was getting was
Consciousness.
consciousness. Spirit just said. Yeah, I was so after I was getting these downloads, I was like, okay, what else? And I went on to Facebook to check a notification, and I saw a tweet from Trump that I thought was really weird. And I thought it was kind of inappropriate. Um just very do you know how what you know how Trump does, okay?
Unclear.
Unclear, yeah. He says, a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. I just, I don't know, I just think that that's like inappropriate to bring that up, like who cares if he didn't like you as president? Like, why would you feel the need to bring that up and connect it to a tragedy? It just seems kind of like facetious. It seems kind of unnecessary. And so my thoughts were like, why even is this like some kind of example you're trying to like show people or
Court.
something? Spirit said court. Spiritual court. Some kind of spiritual court. He's an idiot. Well, Trump is hilarious. Trump is petty. Yeah, Trump is petty. And so I was like, that's kind of weird. But then his friend, Jon Stewart, he made a post as well. And some of the things he says was very interesting. And I was like, what the hell? Very specific. So listen to this. Let me be blunt. What unfolded this past weekend was no accident. Um, do not insult my intelligence by calling this fate or attempting to skirt the truth. Rob and Michelle were not safe in their own home. They faced trials, and Spirit just said court, that no parent should ever have to endure. We all know the long, agonizing battle they fought alongside their son Nick. Those parents did everything to save their child, but in the end, that very sacrifice led to the most heartbreaking conclusion. Hmm. I see how the media is dancing around the hard questions. You talk about the struggle, you talk about addiction, you talk about the mental health of the survivor, but what Robin Michelle's pain? Who will weep for the people who dedicated their entire lives to healing a family only to receive this ultimate devastation in return? Tonight, I choose to stand on the side of the light they brought into this world, not the darkness that ultimately consumed them. So that's three things that are very strange to say. The dark that consumed them. This was no accident. And where is it?
When the clock strikes 12,
And that very sacrifice led to the heartbreaking conclusion. Those are three very, I feel that they're very purposeful. They're very purposeful. And I know that what the cabal likes to do is use influencers or celebrities of influence who have platforms to divulge information in a way that isn't breaking cosmic law. So they have to let you know, they have to let the collective know what they're doing. It's like a loophole, just like we're going to use a loophole.
mindful,
Mindful. They have to be mindful of the way that they tell the public, the collective, what they do or what they did. So that way when we read it, we're reading it, we're ingesting it, we're consuming it, and then that makes us a willing participant by acknowledging the information. Does that make sense? So I thought that was interesting the way
right,
he worded that. Oh, thank you so much, Spirit. I'm so proud. Um, or Spirit just said proud. It could be relating to being too proud to admit something. There's some, and he said the darkness ultimately consumed them, and we know that in Hollywood, you take an oath to perform fertility rituals if you want to continue your career in Hollywood. Okay, all in plain sight. That's right. Yep, exactly. Because of the law of free will. They do that to minimize the amount of karma that they would receive because, well, we told you that this was happening, so it minimizes the amount of karma that they receive. Okay. I don't know if they're called the Illuminati. I, I, I don't know. They're some kind of fertility cult that uses fertility rituals and blackmail, to hold it all together. Smack a little blackmail on there to hold it all together. Well, you know, God says
am I dead?
God says two can play that game. You want to use cosmic laws that God made to in order to create balance against God, then the light workers that are being activated are going to use those very same loopholes in the opposite way, in a divine way. So, two can play that game. It's not a game, but if you want to do that, then there's ways the divine can come through and kind of transmute it. So that's what we're doing. Those are some of the things I got today. So very interesting. Um, they'll definitely receive some kind of karmic debt. I'm not sure in what way. That's God's role. I don't pretend to, you know, be the harbinger of that. I'm just here doing what God tells me to do, doing God's work, okay? So, and then there is one last thing, I'm sorry. So when I do the thumbnail, I do an AI thumbnail. I choose a picture and then I kind of change it a little because I don't want to get in trouble for, using a picture. So I'll put it through the AI generator to create the size I need for the thumbnail and it will fill in the blank parts. And in the thumbnail on Rob's side, there's all these orbs, these light orbs, and there's this weird little um l- uh I don't know, energy being with its eyes glowing and a woman with blonde hair. It put a woman with blonde hair behind Rob. And then for the woman, for his wife's side, Michelle,
Sequential events.
sequential events. Sequential, yes. And then for Michelle's side, it was a black background and it put the back of a man's head kind of like in front of her, a man with black hair. So I thought that was very interesting. I don't know what Spirit's trying to tell me with that, but there could have been something about having illegitimate children or having affairs. Because in King Lear, um, one of the characters in it had a daughter or had a son out of wedlock. And that caused, they called it a bastard child. So there's something about that as well. Both of these people could have had, at one time had open marriage or cheated on each other or something like that. Or it could have to do with the fertility cult, something like that. So we'll see. Okay. And then, what's funny about Trump's post that's interesting is that he specifically says, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star. So that's interesting. I didn't know that he was struggling as of late. Divine intervention got me swimming with the fishes. Trump does that too. Why do you pout your lips when you talk? Are you trying to kiss the camera? I don't know. That's just how my mouth goes. I'm not trying to do it. It just is how the muscles in my mouth move. I'm sorry. Because I have an ex-wife, but now I'm wife my boyfriend after she cheated on me and mad. Sure, I knew I wasn't good enough. Do you think birds are real or drones? Probably both. There's probably both of them. So let's see. Um let's do imagine if. Okay? Oh, my dice are gone. Dang it, Mikey. Mikey took my dice. You guys can help me if you want. Can you do this is the most random chat, yeah. Can anyone pick a number between 1 and 6? Any number between 1 and 6. We'll do imagine if. Can anyone pick a number between 1 and 6 for me? 5, okay. 5, 2, 5, 2, and 5. Okay. Let's do the oh, 5, 5, 2, 2. That's so funny. 5, 2, 5, 2. That's so funny because Michelle Reiner was born in 55. And I have a lot of threes. Michelle was born 3 3, and Rob was born 3 6. So that's 3 3 3 3 3. Okay. Okay, that's good enough. 4 is good, I think. Thank you guys. Okay, so imagine we'll do 5 first. 5 2 5 2. Imagine if Rob Reiner were a famous author. Who would he be? Jackie Collins. I don't know that author. Let me see. Who is Jackie Collins? A British American novelist, actress, and Hollywood insider, known for her glamorous, racy, and scandalous romance novels about the rich and famous, selling over 500 million books and adapting many to film and TV. As the young sister of actress Joan Collins, she wrote about the world she knew, pioneering a new genre of bold, explicit fiction with books like Hollywood Wives. Provocative romantic thrillers filled with sex, crime, and Hollywood glamour. Come through, Spirit. Okay. So definitely some kind of provocative. Like I said, I am getting that these two people may have had an open relationship or used to, or had children with people they cheated with, something like that. Okay. All right. The next number is 2. Imagine if this couple were a floating vessel. Which would they be? A destroyer. A destroyer, too. I can't make it up. A destroyer. Yeah, something about like King Lear, needing praise and adoration from their children to feel like they care, almost like they held something over their head or something. Okay, let's do 5 again. Do you know for a fact, because you sound like a TV show, cheaters with no serious solid fact that holds water? Do you know for... No, I don't know for a fact. This is all alleged. I can't prove any of it, and it's for entertainment purposes only. Chat loves your forehead. Hey, I got what I got. I got a big brain in here, you know? Make sure you hit that like button, you guys, so people can find this. It really helps the channel out. So the next number is 5. Imagine if this couple were a famous landmark. What would they be? Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, needing an audience. Always needing an audience. Always needing to be the center of attention. Always needing to be in play. Always playing games. Always playing games. Thank you, Broom Gang. Thank you. I do. I have 2 kids. No one can prove stupid God. I have a big forehead, but I'm proud of it. Yeah. Bigger forehead is a bigger brain, you know? Hey, you know what proves God to me? This whole planet. This whole planet provides every single thing you need to survive. Anything that we have is from this planet. That's pretty godly to me. I would say thank you to that. That's pretty godly to me. You wake up every day and have everything you need. You need food? No problem. You need shelter? No problem. You need sunlight? No problem. You need moonlight? No problem. You need anything you need. You need metals, you need crystals, you need firewood. Everything you need is on this planet for your survival. Praise God. Okay? That's God for you. Okay, let's do last one. Imagine, and it's number 2. Imagine if they had written the first line of a song. Which would they most likely have written? Why do birds suddenly... Shadow figure. Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? And Spirit said shadow figure. So we could say, why do shadow figures suddenly appear every time you are near? Why do shadow figures suddenly appear every time you are near? Okay. So I have Jackie Collins, so very dramatic, very provocative, sex, crime, Hollywood glamour. Okay. Yeah. Hollywood glamour, some kind of drama. Destroyer. Let's elaborate on that. What does that mean? And I have at the top of this deck, it's Tricky, by Run DMC. Tricky. Oh, and Spirit said, or look at what the picture is. It's a tape deck. And Spirit said, record the video. Something on video? Something tricky? Something devastating on video? Something that could destroy something? What is this destroyer? Outcast. Mmm. Outcast, Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize.
Cults.
Cults! Didn't I say fertility cults? There's something that this these people may not have. Something about something being on tape. It's tricky. Something they something that could have destroyed something. Oh my gosh, I just saw The Mother We Share. That was weird. The Mother We Share. Nobody can say Jackson without singing that song. It's called A Real Person Where Everybody Goes Through Life. Because he came in a form of a sign piece, a gentle animal with no vicious intent. We need children to stop being born with cancer as well, but we don't get that for some reason. You're talking about God and you're singing whirly songs, you're judging, and you're a hypocrite. Don't start judging because you're a hypocrite yourself. The past is a ghost and the future is a dream. Only the present is real. By concentrating fully on the here and now, I can find peace and clarity. Absolutely, Cymatic Sun. Yeah, I think that your perspective of the way life is tells you where you're at spiritually. If you perceive things in a very linear way and you haven't understood from a higher perspective the way it works here, that's okay. It's not a big deal. Everyone comes into their own way of alignment and of understanding, and that's okay. You can be where you're at and still be happy, okay? Um, Outcast, it's tricky. Destroyer, needing to be the center of attention. Yankee Stadium, needing to be number one, needing all eyes on. And then the Trump derangement syndrome kind of plays into this too. Why do shadow figures suddenly appear every time you are near? Miss Jackson, Outcast. Yeah, I think that I can't prove this, but what I'm getting is that one of the children, or maybe two, could have been born out of wedlock. They were not from each other or something. There's something about
Scrape.
there's something about having an open relationship. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm definitely getting something like that. Let's do some Trivial Pursuit. What do you mean when you have your own world and separating yourself from human reality? That's fake.
Red sex.
And you know that for a fact, once again, you're bringing up two people that you know nothing else. And you're assuming that's a true by understanding those tarot cards as false, misleading yourself. Well, there's no other way to learn the language of spirit unless you just try. So we're not using tarot cards here, we're using game cards. And yeah, I might be wrong and I might be right, but we won't know unless we try. So I'm not gonna not try to do something because I don't know for a fact. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna try it out and see what happens. And that's what part of life is. I'm not gonna allow fear to of the unknown to stop me from moving forward by doing something that makes me feel joy, you know? So you can have your reality and I can have mine and we can both exist at the same time and it's fine. Okay? Reality is what you make it. Everyone lives in their own reality and they all exist at the same time. Oh, thank you so much. Guessing on someone's life is not a game, and pretending to think what is real by you, making those accusations and false claims, that's fake. Okay, and you're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. And that's fine. You can have your opinion and I still love you and I still appreciate your presence here. Thank you so much for your opinion and you're allowed to have it and I'm allowed to have mine and we can both come together and have fun and it's fine. Okay? Thank you so much. All right, let's do brown. I have brown, pink, blue, blue. Okay? Let's see. What NPR star turned a Yuletide gig as a Macy's elf into a story titled The Santa Land Diaries? Hmm. That's fine. I'm not trying to be mean to you. I'm just trying to make you see the reality of the statements you're making. You can try to make me see it your way, and I understand what you're saying, but from my perspective, I'm a spirit medium. And so the whole point of faith or belief is not having physical evidence. You have to trust. The language of spirit requires you to trust that what you're getting is what you're getting and being able to speak on it even if you don't know for sure. And that's the only way to develop the language of intuition, the language of spirit, of symbology, to be able to read it. And so I might not know for sure or have any empirical evidence that's in my hand that can validate what I'm saying, but ultimately, whatever comes up has a moral lesson or has a perspective that allows us to see where a mistake was made or where an emotion was present or where something is unhealed. And that's ultimately what we're doing here. We're trying to heal things that are unknown. And God always says, reveal to heal. And so, even if this isn't, whatever comes up isn't about Rob Reiner or whatever, the emotions that are still true and still play out on a collective scale. And that's what's valid and valuable of the readings. Okay. What are you talking about? You have physical evidence to see the proof. You can't just see it by what you believe in. You have to see it to believe it. That's not true. I know that's not true because I talk to spirit all the time and they're non-physical. And so you don't say, let me see the Wi-Fi connection to prove that it's working, right? You don't say that. You don't say, show me what love feels like. Show me what love looks like so I can feel it. Love is non-physical. Emotions are non-physical. So, by what you're perceiving, I can tell that you're very much in your masculine energy, and that's fine. You can be in your masculine energy. You have to have, you have to see it for it to be real, but that's not the way that spirit works. Spirit is non-physical, and it requires you to believe in it in order for it to work. So if you don't believe in it, you will not perceive it. So this is the land of make believe. Outside of this earth, everything is non physical, or spirit is non physical. And so when this vessel dies, you go back to non physicality. And so if you are not there yet, that's okay. But you can't perceive something you don't allow yourself to believe in. A belief is just a thought you keep thinking, but if you don't allow yourself to have awareness of things you don't understand, you limit the way that you will experience it. Okay? Well, then I gotta, you know what, you're very distracting. And I love this conversation, and it's very different. But you say that you've seen ghosts, but yet you don't believe in what I'm doing. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but you're very distracting. And I'm trying to do a reading. I'm 46 minutes in, and I haven't even gotten anywhere yet. So I have to hide you. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. I have to hide you. Oh, thank you, Big Pun. Thank you so much. The Santa Land Diaries. David Sedaris. What NPR star turned a Yuletide gig as a Macy's elf into a story titled The Santa Land Diaries? David Sedaris. So something about coming from something very, a gig at um at a box store as an elf into like something else. So going from something really small to something really big in a short amount of time. Okay? Going from something really small to something really big. And Spirit said it was homicide, travel, cults. Okay? And I did mention something about Hollywood being a fertility cult.
Present.
Present. Spirit said present. Okay, I have pink. What movie gave Jim Carrey the chance to make "Alrighty Then" an instant catchphrase? Oh my god, I was just thinking of Ace Ventura. Not just now, but the other day. I freaking love Ace Ventura. What movie gave Jim Carrey the chance to make "Alrighty Then" an instant catchphrase? Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Detective. Hmm. Something that Something that was instant, something that made Rob Reiner some kind of instant star or something. There's something about being acknowledging like a quick um, rise to where he got. Something that he did quick that made it quick. Something that's on tape, something that he grew guilt for. Because I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, I am for real, never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize. He was a meathead. Okay, I have blue. Whose swing set stuffed Barney doll? Oh my gosh, Spirit said doll this morning. Whose swing set stuffed Barney doll and Spider-Man pajamas attract tourists to a shrine in Miami's Little Havana? Elian Gonzalez. Whose swing set, stuffed Barney doll, and Spider-Man pajamas attract tourists? That's weird. These are all children's things. A shrine to a child? Miami's Little Havana? Havana. 90, thank you so much. Havana's in Cuba, and when I think of Cuba, I think of this story I listened to of this man who got out of a cult, and but when he was in the cult, he went to Cuba for a ceremony, and this says shrine, which a shrine kind of reminds me of an altar. A Barney doll, Spider-Man, and a swing set. Huh. Attract tourists. And there's 3 children's things. I think Rob Reiner has 3 children. Let me see. I think they have 3 children. Yeah, Rami, Nick, and Jake. Romy, Nick, and Jake. They have 3 children. That's a swing set, a stuffed Barney doll, and Spider-Man. Attract tourists to a shrine.
When the tides are high.
When the tides are high. When the energy is high. Spirit just said when the tides are high, but when the energy is high, they may have done something with their children when the energy was high, something that got them quick celebrity, something that may have got something that was tricky, something that was on tape, something that they're sorry about. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Something that when they were children. What month serves double duty as National Oatmeal Month and National Hot Tea Month? January. And it's about to be January. I also have Ronald Reagan, and Reagan was one of the daughters in King Lear. So like I was saying earlier, there may have been something that the son remembered about childhood that happened that the other children didn't remember. That was tricky. That was not something that, and I have in my touch at the top of the deck, what brings me joy. And look at this creepy smile in my touch. So one of these children may remember something bad that happened that the other children don't remember, that prevented them from flattering the parents the way the other children did. Just like in King Lear, there's one child that doesn't kiss the butts of these 2 parents. Okay, they don't kiss the butts of the 2 parents. Let me judge my hair. Okay. Let's do a brain game. I mean, I said brain game. I was something about playing games, pretending that something didn't happen, acting like what happened didn't happen, but not being able to forget, something like that. We'll do a mind trap. Okay?
Jealous over someone else.
Jealous over someone else. A man walked into the Salty Dog Tavern and ordered a fish fillet sandwich, a glass of dark rum, and some female company. The proprietor turned to him and said, "Look, sailor, the first 2 requests are no problem, but the 3rd request is out of my hands." What made the proprietor think the man was a sailor? The man was wearing a sailor's uniform. Hmm.
We will be back.
My spirit just said we will be back. What? Huh. There may have been a meeting or a call to action to have a meeting with an order to request something that was out of their hands. something they thought they wanted, something that they couldn't fulfill.
Pisces.
Pisces. Spirit said Pisces. Something they couldn't fulfill that became a problem. They made a request to order something from some kind of dark tavern or some kind of proprietor, um, to give them something, to request something because they wanted there's something that they were requesting from a proprietor to do something, um, something dark, but something was out of the proprietor's hands because they didn't have something that the proprietor wanted, or they didn't fulfill something that was needed. They made a request. Aim. Spirit said aim. Read your comments. It bends to the right. What does that mean? Who is she talking to? You're ignoring me, so I guess I'll see you later. I think you're beautiful. At this point, doesn't matter. Oh, thank you. They have to sacrifice one. Holy forehead. How does the old Hollywood celebrities haunt Hollywood? You look super familiar. Not sure from where. I'm sorry, guys, if I can't read all the comments. I can't read all of them. How far can a dog run into the woods? And I have Salty Dog Tavern and I have another dog reference. Dogs chase. Dogs run. They're running from something. They were running from something that they requested from a dark tavern or a dark order that they tried to make the problem, but it was out of the proprietor's hands. So something that they may have made a promise to, or something that they agreed to at the very start of their career, or Rob's career, to give them instant catchphrase, an instant catchphrase, to give them instant celebrity.
You will receive something.
You will receive something, yeah, but you have to sacrifice something. So there's something that they requested in order to receive something, okay? That gave them instant celebrity. They promised something to be released, um, but but over the years they whined because they wanted to continue winning Pulitzer prizes, but they continued to shrink because they were on a losing streak and blaming something. They were blaming something else for their losing streak because they weren't getting something that they requested, but they weren't giving the thing that they needed to receive something. So the time wasn't spent wisely. It was spent, they were blaming someone for not receiving something, because they were inexperienced in this arena. There's something that they didn't fully, like, I don't know, grasp at the way it worked. The technical know-how for how to receive high definition. They thought they had a winning hand because in the past they received a progressive jackpot, but now it's like they were playing poker in an armchair, trying to catalog their achievements. And then getting into an energy of revenge. but not getting into the energy of revenge because they had hot tea and they were blaming someone for their losing streak because they were shrinking and didn't see a natural remedy. They thought that they were Pulitzer winners and bestsellers, but they covered their eyes, ears, and mouth all the way down and whined all the way down, promised to retire upon the release of a scarecrow. They were supposed to they were supposed to give something they didn't give 40 years ago. 40 years ago they gave something away and then took it back and it became ugly. Forty years ago. Okay. Alrighty then. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. They were out of business and needed room, but they didn't want to pay the clerk. Their bank was not receiving money. Even though they were well worth over $100. The collateral was replaced. The collateral was replaced. So they did something each day for 7 days, trying to put the links back to avoid an unnecessary loss. But the cuts they made were not an equal trade back and forth. They were trying to avoid an unnecessary loss. They were doing something every day for 7 days to avoid the cuts being made.
Waylaid.
Before they had to deliver a new card, they thought they could do something for 7 days to avoid paying something,
Inside the car.
to avoid unnecessary cuts. But the trade wasn't worth the back and forth. It wasn't an equal trade. It wasn't an equal trade. What the fuck? Let me get one more. If you are the giver, I'll be the receiver. They swerved and skidded over broken glass, blowing 2 of their tires. It was sudden. A sudden door was opened. A sudden door was opened that demanded money or demanded energy or demanded something. A door was opened that demanded something that they woke up, something they woke up. Something that there is no excuse for that robbed them.
Virginia.
Something that they were trying to get help for. What? They did
I'm
something.
upset.
I'm upset. They did something for 7 days to try to change something because they were losing notoriety. They were losing money. They were losing links in the chain. They were losing connections in Hollywood. They were not at the same level of celebrity because something they did 40 years ago to get instant celebrity, to become a catchphrase in the collective, there's some kind of promise they made or some kind of agreement they made to a proprietor of a dark order to request celebrity, instant celebrity, that came at the for some kind of price. Spirit said you will receive something. But the further they ran into the woods or ran away from this promise, the further away they got from celebrity, they started losing. So there's some kind of agreement they made 40 years ago, and the catchphrase, thank you, Spirit. And what John Stewart said was this was no accident. Something about a sacrifice. The darkness ultimately consumed them. So it's something about a promise they made 40 years ago to give something up, to sacrifice something, but they didn't take it seriously, or they ignored it, or they forgot. They may have forgot, because I have three children here: swing set, stuffed Barney doll, and a Spider-Man pajama.
Ceremonial masks.
Ceremonial mass. There's some kind of, they gave a promise to this order for one of the children, or three, something about the children that they had. But there's something that they didn't do or didn't. It says it's out of my hands. They had so long to give this offer, or something. I don't know. It kind of feels like they offered one child but then changed their mind and tried to offer another child, but that wasn't the agreed upon child or something. Something like that. And so they tried to do something for 7 days to like reverse it or to change it, but it was out of God's hands. Like, it had to play out because they were inexperienced and in a new arena when it comes to whatever they did in this order. They don't know about energy. They did something 40 years ago when they were young that was like carrying over and affecting their celebrity 40 years later. And so they were trying to get the same level of, because they're like Yankee Stadium. They are so used to having or being the center of attention and having like gigs and having, jobs lined up, but they're losing money. And they're losing money because what they received, it's time to pay up now. It's time to pay, or they have been not paying the price it costs to have those things, and so they started losing things. So they're like, well, what's another way that we could do it? Let's go back to someone else and do a ritual for 7 days to try to reverse it, something like that, because they were being robbed. I don't We don't do magic or rituals, but what we're learning through the readings is that these fertility cults, the reason they use blackmail, when you enter into the cult, is because they need to be able to trust that you won't go tell the way that they do the rituals, because it usually involves some kind of energy exchange. And so the blackmail is part of the energy exchange. And so 40 years ago, if you're getting into the entertainment industry, that's when they blew up, right? Or that's when Rob Reiner blew up. He was in everything and he did everything. And he's a very unassuming guy. He's bald. He was bald at 40 years ago. He was always bald. And I heard this
In dark corners.
in dark corners. Yes, thank you, Spirit. And I heard this thing that men who cheat go bald, and so he's very bald. And like I said, you know, being part of this fertility cult, there may have been a lot of like orgies and a lot of, you know, exchanging partners and swinging and having illegitimate children. And there's something about them when you enter into the fertility cult. What do you make when you have sex? You're fertile, you make a child. That is the Holy Spirit coming in, right? It's a man and a woman making a portal for Holy Spirit, and that has energy behind it. And so, what I'm getting from this is 40 years ago, Rob Reiner could have made a promise to, you know, let me have your firstborn child or something. You know, I don't know for sure, but something like that. You will receive celebrity if you give me your firstborn child or whatever. And then so I don't know what that looks like exactly on a physical level, but basically the soul of the child that comes in will be bound to that energy and will have to be in that energy. So if you're making a promise like that, if you're offering up future children you haven't had yet, and then you forget about that, hey, Mr. Brad Boy, and then you forget about that, and then you know you're 40 years later and you don't remember that you made that promise or you didn't take it seriously, it will affect the whatever child you promised. It'll affect that child negatively. You know, that child will have you know, emotional problems, mental health problems, energy problems. And so there may be something like that going on here. And so that child, I don't know if they remembered something specific that prevented them from loving the child or from loving the father the way the father wanted to be loved, or if that child was just so affected by the energy exchange, they agreed, you know, the reciprocation of energy, that it just held some kind of energetic bond that didn't allow for the child to flourish. You know, it was always bound or oppressed. And so it didn't get to flourish in a natural divine way or something. Something like that. Um Please tell me more about that. How can we learn about that? Hmm. Islamic beliefs, God, Jesus Christ, sin and salvation. So, something that appeared to be almost compatible with Christianity or Judaism. Something that wouldn't be accepted by Yeshua. Something that that would be rejected by biblical doctrines. Something based off of a deity. Um, Something blasphemous. Something unapproachable by sinful, something only approachable by a sinful man. Communicating with mankind through false idols, through false gods. Not in grace, but through wrath. Submitting to a point where judgment is inherent. For earthly paradise of gluttony and sexual gratification. What did I say? This is a fertility cult. Hollywood is a fertility cult. When you make an agreement through gluttonous sexual gratification under the guise of fertility, of it bringing abundance, That's through a false god, through false idol. You don't need to do that. So Rob Reiner is saying that he did that. He made a promise 40 years ago that he thought was compatible to Christ consciousness, but it was under a false god. It was through earthly paradise of gluttony and sexual gratification. Ugh. But he died on a cross of judgment because he wouldn't sacrifice his children, he sacrificed himself. But he
being
already
trapped.
being trapped, he trapped himself because 40 years ago he made a promise to sacrifice one of his children, but then he decided not to do it and then wondered why he wasn't a celebrity anymore. It's weird. It's like this disconnect, like okay, you do this fertility ritual, you're young, you think it's fun. It comes in the guise of like an orgy of being like some kind of fun sexual thing, really earthly pleasure thing. So you do it, you receive instant catchphrase, you receive instant celebrity for years, and you continue going to these sex cults, you continue having earthly pleasures or whatever, sexual gratification, um, as a condition of the faith to carry on a sacred duty to murder anyone who would not embrace the one true faith. It's very like either you do these things or we take away your celebrity. You have to continue doing it in order to receive. That's the way they work. That's how they trap you. Spirit says being trapped. If you don't continue doing them, then you start losing your celebrity. You start getting blacklisted. You start getting turned away. You start losing money. Okay? Once you receive something in a certain energy, if you want to continue getting it, you have to continue getting it in that energy. That's why Spirit says don't do it. It's not worth it because once
Ascension.
once you decide to stop doing it, you start losing things because it's a very temporary way to receive abundance. It's very temporary. Okay? So there's something about a promise he made 40 years ago. And then 40 years later, he's trying to blame other people because he doesn't want to admit or he doesn't remember. I'm not sure that he made this promise. And that's why he's losing everything because he's not continuing. He's old now. He's not continuing to do the things he did when he was 40 years ago. Okay. Let's look in Western philosophy. Transcendental guide for the discovery of all pure concepts of understanding.
Staying on the land.
Staying on the land. Yeah, God always talks about you'll inherit the land, right? What God is talking about is inheriting your divine inheritance, matching your divine energy. When you are in your divine energy, you don't need to sacrifice things you love. You sacrifice time, you sacrifice energy, self discipline, you fast, you put healthy things in your body, you meditate, you be kind to people. That's the way that you inherit your divine inheritance because that's what you already are. I had a witchcrafting girlfriend. Hey brows, glad to see you're out the shelter, sweetie. Oh my gosh. Alexa. I've been getting the name Alexis a lot. I kind of started to understand that something funny was going on. I got saved in 1988. Hey, Lake Superior. Thank you for the Sunday and the floating heart. Last time we got you at the very last minute. Gotcha. Yes, but doing well. So it says on the pure concepts of understanding or categories. General logic, as we have said several times, already abstracts from all content of cognition. It expects presentations to be given to it from somewhere else, no matter where, in order then to transform these presentations into concepts in the first place. This it does analytically. Transcendental logic, on the other hand, has lying before it a manifold of a priori sensibility offered to it by transcendental aesthetic. Transcendental aesthetic offers it this manifold in order to provide it with material for the pure concepts of understanding. Without this material, transcendental logic would have no content, and hence would be completely empty.
6.
Now, space and time contain a manifold of pure priori intuition, but they belong nonetheless to the conditions of our mind's receptivity, under which alone the mind can receive presentations of objects, and which by the same token must always affect the concept of these objects. Yet the spontaneity of our thought requires that this manifold, in order to be turned into a cognition, must first be gone through, taken up, and combined in a certain manner. This act I call synthesis. By synthesis, in the most general sense of the term, I mean the act of putting various presentations with one another and of compromising their manifoldness in one cognition. Since such synthesis is pure if the manifold is given not empirically but priori, as the manifold in space and time. Priori. Priori? A religious house. Oh no, not. Priori. Knowledge, reasoning, or justification that comes from pure thought, logic, or deduction, independent of experience or empirical evidence. Empirical evidence. I was just talking about that with that person who was telling me that it doesn't exist if there's no evidence. That's the thing. Like, that's the reasoning. Oh. So what Rob is saying is that the reason he did something 40 years ago is because logically he was seeing that other people were getting things. They were saying, I did this and I received abundance. If you do this, you'll receive abundance too. So that's how he made logic out of doing it, even though what he was doing was illogical and he didn't understand the mechanisms that he was participating in to receive with the abundance. And so when he made that promise, he made the promise in just like an empty promise. An empty promise. He was just like, yeah, sure, yeah, you can have my future unborn child to receive abundance. And then, and then so he did whatever this is. Even though he didn't understand completely how it would unfold for him. Like he didn't really understand the components of how it would unfold. He didn't understand energy. And so in a general sense of the term, he put the way it was presented to him, it manifested what he wanted. So he was like, out of that, it was just pure, like, why wouldn't I do it? Okay, because he didn't understand the price he would have to pay in order to receive it. But as time went on, he started to realize that he was blind to the function of the soul and that he had no cognition whatsoever about the consciousness, or he very rarely thought about it, of what it would bring to him to synthesize these concepts. So he started losing things and he started to blame things outside of himself because he didn't put the pieces together, that he didn't understand that what was happening was because of the promise he made, that he that he ignored. And over the years, he had a child that he promised. So he promised and he gave away that child's soul. And so that child could didn't wasn't able to perform in his divine inheritance. He wasn't allowed to be pure because he had already given his soul away. Nicholas, he just said Nicholas, Nick Reiner. That's why Nick had so many problems, because he promised his soul to be famous, and then when he became famous he forgot about the promise he made, and it just was this build up because he gave his son's soul away. He bound his son to a dark energy for to manifest abundance, and then forgot about it. And so he took away his son's purity, and so that's why his son, it was like a I don't know, it was some kind of cost, it was some kind of price they paid. Some kind of price they paid. It's almost like, yeah, it says right here, forgetting that in this way we never gain, because he didn't conceptualize the soul. He didn't think about how it would affect the soul of his child. He just, in the moment, it just seemed logical to do it because he didn't have any children. And what do I care about the future child? And then, 20 years later, 30 years later, when he has a child, and he forgot that he bound that child's soul to this dark order, that child's going to have emotional problems, going to have mental health problems, because the child wasn't born into purity, enlightenment. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Damn. That's wild. It was foolish. It was foolish of him to unite with a deity, with a great number of men, serving several deities, framing the world. We are so much more than our human affairs. He shared work with among several who did the same thing that he did. That's why he thought it was okay. Having power and knowledge was having knowledge and power, giving knowledge and power to one deity with the proof of its existence through the abundance they were receiving was foolish and vicious, and they were vicious creatures that would often unite, executing these plans to a deity or a demon that seemed to be perfect, because it's a typical human man, like, oh, I just have to have sex, I just have to go have sex in a group orgy, hell yeah, and then I'll be famous. What's not to love? Oh, you want me to give up a child that I haven't even had yet? Pfft, sure, whatever. That to be famous, they're not even here yet, what do I care? you know he certainly followed his nature, okay, and kept a great distance from the secrets of the knowledge of the superficial qualities of the objects that he concealed, based on powers and principles that were influenced by non-physical entities that would consistently bring bread. Why would I have any other reason to not do it? I get to have sex, nourishment, and support of my human body, and I get wonderful forces of power that help me to continue to change my place and communicating with others. Yeah. And then, as time went on, his secret powers that he expected, it's like this weird disconnection, like you do something for so long that you receive non-physical benefits for, like you receive non-physical benefits for what you're doing that's negative, and you're receiving abundance. So in your mind, as time goes on, you're like, you don't argue that you're going to get it because you're doing the ritual that you think is like an orgy, it's a party, you're having fun, and you receive. But when you get older and you don't want to go to the orgies anymore, and you don't want to do those things anymore, but you already made the promise that you think that you've been getting away from. No, you have to pay the price. They didn't want to give, they gave the child up already, but I don't know how I would, uh, I can't read Nick's energy because he's still alive, but Spirit said Nicholas, and that's the son who executed them. Okay, so tell me what you can about that, and then we'll wrap it up because it's been an hour and a half. Damn. Back together in reverse. Fresh start, second chances, good vibes only. Deathbed. Yeah, they like the mind trap says they were trying to reverse it. They may have started to realize that this promise they made may be connected to their son's behavior, and that they didn't want to give up a child. So they were possibly trying to stop it. That might be why they were putting up with their son so much unemployed. Yeah, because they were on hard times. They weren't able to get jobs. They were losing money, and so they were living beyond their means. And they may have started to realize there's some kind of connection. So they went to someone else to do some kind of ritual for 7 days to backtrack it, to like fix it, to be back in alignment, but it doesn't work that way. Once you make the promise, you got to pay the piper. That's right. The piper getting paid regardless. That's right, Dub Styles. Exactly. Hiding their true feelings. Yeah. They didn't want to admit to themselves that they did this, or that one of them did this. And perhaps the father did it and didn't tell the mother. I don't know. But there's something about it affecting, it was some kind of cold, detached, secret emotion that he didn't want to look at. You may have been getting spiritually attacked because of it. Pay the piper or you're going to pay the price. And the way to pay the price is through the child that you promised, that already was born in impurity, because you promised their soul before they were even born. The minute they came into this world, they were already promised to darker forces. And since you kept protecting the child instead of allowing the child to go to the order of its own accord or whatever, or tried to like stop the promise you made, you get eye for an eye. Spirit just said eye for an eye. Spiritually attacked. They were getting spiritually attacked through the sun. The sun was attacking them because the sun is bound. They bound the sun to a dark force, toxic environment. But because they knew that it was their fault, they had guilt. And so, but they couldn't tell anyone. How do you tell everyone that, yeah, I sacrificed my future unborn child to be famous? First of all, that sounds crazy. Second of all, that's horrible. Third, that's wildly irresponsible. How do you come back from that? It created a toxic environment where they were losing money trying to it created karmic debt. Okay? Karmic debt, karmic relationships, karmic people, guilt. I just saw guilt. How can I possibly give up on a child that I actually it's my fault that they're the way they are? Yeah. Because they match the energy, yeah, definitely. They're trying to find a way to make it work. Really committed this time, loyal, yeah, in reverse. You can't have it all and also promise your children and not pay the piper. It was time to pay the piper. That's the best way to say it, Dub Styles. Yeah. Go your own way, be strong, walk away. That's right, Paul. They weren't willing to walk away. They had to be Yankee Stadium. They had to be always, they were already in the game of entertainment, and they already had, he already had so much acclamation, and he already had so much celebrity, and already did so much work. He's like, how could I do anything else? What else would I do? I can't walk away. And so he wants to keep on living this lifestyle and being in this environment, but he doesn't want to pay the cost. He doesn't want to pay what he paid in the future. He doesn't want to sacrifice anything. And so it kind of reminds me of Matthew Perry reading that we did a long time ago, but essentially Matthew Perry wanted to be famous again, and he knew that the only way to get back in the game was to do whatever he had to sacrifice. So he made the promise to sacrifice something, but then ultimately he couldn't do it because he felt too guilty, and he thought that he could do it, but he couldn't. So that's why, something has to be sacrificed. If you're not going to give them what they want, then it has to be you. Then it has to be you. That's the way it is. Okay? Sick and tired. Yeah. Sick and tired. Because when you're in that energy, you get spiritually attacked because you've already bound yourself to this order of this deity or this demon or whatever it is. And so if you're not paying the sacrifice that you promised, then you get spiritually attacked. They come for you. They find ways to infiltrate your energy and have you making bad decisions, all of that. Okay? All of that. How can we heal it? How can we heal it? How can we heal it? This is what the witchcraft woman in my life was trying to teach me. I was 13 playing banjo at Knott's Berry Farm. Oh, I remembered Knott's Berry Farm. Defendant innocent. Spirit said Jeep. Follow moon, balance mind. Legal document. And Spirit said court earlier. So they might be crossed over in spiritual court, going over their life path and realizing,
Grace.
grace. Thank you, Spirit, grace. When you cross over as a spirit medium, what I'm learning is that when you cross over, that whole street where Knott's is just red, dark, evil energy to me. I quit going to that junkyard because I was absorbing all that energy.
Abandoned.
What I'm learning about when you cross over is whatever, when you incarnate and you have a blueprint of your soul's highest path or potential that you ultimately want to achieve. That's the goal. You come in with a theory that you'll be able to attain a level of enlightenment, and then you come in and you see if it's possible for you to remember or to get to that level. But you have a lot of distractions and you can't remember. You're not allowed to remember what the goal is. Your subconscious knows it, but not your conscious mind. And so
Plans.
and so we incarnate and then we get distracted and we make decisions that will ultimately pull us away from alignment or put us into alignment with our soul's blueprint. And when you veer off of the path of alignment and you do a lot of things that didn't put you in your divine inheritance or your alignment, and you cross over and you have some unresolved things or things of guilt, shame, regret, things, mistakes you made, things, secrets that you couldn't tell, that you didn't know how to overcome or reveal, those are things that will keep you earthbound because you feel that there's things that you have to reconcile. And so you'll go into some kind of like spiritual court where you kind of review all the things that kept you out of alignment that you need to resolve before you cross over into home. And so he's in spiritual court right now. Spirit said court at the very beginning because he needs to do a life review so he can understand for the next incarnation what exactly went wrong, where he went wrong, and it's 40 years ago when he didn't think about the spiritual repercussions of his decisions. He was making decisions in a very physical way. He was very bound to his physical needs, you know, sexually, and he was using more logic than also using your heart and your intuition. You have three brains: your mind, your heart, and your intuition. They're all a different brain that should be used together to decide if something is for your alignment or not. And so he's in spiritual court right now doing his life review, trying to figure out what went wrong, because something unexpected happened, and he realizes that it was rooted in spiritual development. Okay, so this lifetime he's realizing the dark side of spirituality, and that there absolutely is a dark and a light side of it, and depending on where you're at in your consciousness, it will determine how aligned you are or not. Okay,
Building power to strike.
building power to strike. So he realizes that he wasn't thinking with his heart or his intuition. He was thinking more with his logical mind. And he came across an opportunity that logically made sense to him. It was an unexpected surprise. And so he was doing a dance and walking on a tightrope of negative energy that he didn't understand fully through his logical mind. And that's what we were saying at the beginning of the reading with that man who was like, if I can't touch it or see it, it's not real. But that's not true, because you can do a fertility ritual and do horrible things and receive abundance, and there's no physical evidence that kind of bridges that gap, but yet it's happening. So it's like, and it can go the other way with divine energy. You can be in divine energy and think of joy and be kind and find joy all the time and receive abundance that way as well. But you have to be able to be in your heart, more of a heart space, instead of your mind. You have to learn how to dance between the two. It's just so simple now. I just pray to Jesus and I see all things clearly. I can, yes, absolutely. Yeshua is a awesome guide for sure. Sowing seeds of hope, harvest what you plant. Committing to the process, blossoming, sustaining. Absolutely. There's no shortcuts, you guys. There's no shortcuts. You don't plant a seed. You don't plant a seed in the ground and then say, hurry up and grow. Hurry up. Hurry up and give me my fruit. No, you know that you have to water it, that you have to trim its leaves, that you have to give it shade, you have to give it sun. You take care of it, and that's exactly how your thoughts go, how your mind goes, how your emotions go. What you feed, what you take care of, what you water will be the things that grow. But if you do something the easy way, and you're promising things that aren't yours, you're sacrificing things that aren't even yours in the future for what? For notoriety, for celebrity? Yeah, you're going to pay the cost. Paying the piper. No turning back. There's no turning back. Once you make that promise in this life, you have to see it out, or you have to walk away. But if you're not willing to walk away and lose everything and start over again, then you have to stay in that energy. That's how it works. Wow. Fired up. Fired up. Yeah, that's how it works. So for what this is a mask that the entertainment industry wears. This is a mask that gets used, and to us from the outside, yeah, it looks like a horrible tragedy, but from a higher perspective, this is exactly what he promised. This is the promise he made. It's just being fulfilled at this time, because he decided that that wasn't something that he wanted to what's the word? He wanted to fulfill. He didn't want to fulfill the promise he made. He wanted to backtrack. But yet at the same time, he didn't want to leave the energy. He didn't want to start over. And so you can't have both. You can't be in that energy and not want to do it because you're just going to lose something. You have to sacrifice something. If you don't want to sacrifice your child, then you have to sacrifice yourself. That's how it works. Otherwise, you walk away, you lose everything you gained in that energy, and you start over in a different energy. That's how it works. Okay? So, from the outside, it may look like some random tragedy, but it's not. It's not random. It's from their own decisions they made. This is a decision that was made, and it ultimately affected everyone in that family because they weren't willing to accept what was true. They were hiding secrets of the truth, that they sacrificed something that they didn't think was important at the time, but once life unfolded and you realize how important a child is, they couldn't accept that they did that. So thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you, Rob, for sharing that with us. I hope that this helps to release them. If there's anything we do to help, if there's anything we can do to help release this soul that's earthbound, what can we do? He's in spiritual court right now, Bridge of Dreams, and I have no turning back and a bridge on fire. Bridge of Dreams. Dreams are a bridge to your soul's depths. Cross it to uncover your truest desires and directions. Soul crossing, past, future connection, dream guidance. Yeah, he sees now in retrospect that whatever his dreams were, there was a totally different way to go about it, and that he sees now he sees now that he was young, dumb, and full of you know what, and that there was a totally different way he could have went about it, and he sees that now. He sees that now. Soul crossing. Seed of light. You are a planter of light, leaving an eternal mark with every action. Spiritual legacy, inner guidance, new beginnings. See, I told you, if you have a dream and you want to plant a seed, there's no easy way to grow it. You have to nurture it, water it, feed it, consistency, being positive, knowing that it's going to come. You don't know how, you don't know when, but you know that it's going to come, and that you're supported, and that what you're nurturing will grow as long as you're willing to do the work. Gotcha. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for another reading. We have another one tomorrow. We're going to attempt to do something that I've been getting some signs for. I don't want to say it though, because I don't want it to be, I don't want it to get negative energy sent to it, but portal of mystery. So I'll let it be a mystery. But if you'd like to join us tomorrow morning, we'll be here. We're going to do a reading to try to get some information to see what we can do. Okay. We love you so much. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.